Hello and welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. On the show tonight, I'm in conversation with StayVista to talk about the tourism space, sustainable tourism, and also what some of the trends are looking like for this year. Also, in segment 2, Rohan Richard will be making his debut on the Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11 with a conversation with Jai Kisan. Amit Damani of StayVista joining us live on the show. Amit.
Thank you, Sunanda. Good to be here.
Thanks for your time. We're talking all things tourism in the month of April, and my question to you is, give us the idea behind starting StayVista. Where was the inspiration for that?
Yeah, StayVista is the largest villa hospitality brand of India, and three of us, Ankita, Pranav and I, started Vista by solving a personal problem and seeing that this exists for a lot of people. How it started was all of us have grown up in large, big, fat Indian families, and the way that we typically travel is we travel with our group of cousins, and what we typically saw was a hotel is a great place when you're going individually or with with your spouse, but when it comes to group travel, you want to spend quality time together. You want to place a private living room, private pool where you can spend quality time together, and always a holiday home seemed like a perfect place for that. We used to book homes with local travel agents even before Airbnb came into place. But typically the problem that we saw was that this experience was never in control. What that means is you could book a home, it looked beautiful, but when you come to that home, because the homeowner doesn't stay in these locations such as in Lonavala, Alibag or in Manali, there's a lot of maintenance work that's needed at these homes. As well as when it comes to hospitality, there are certain standards everyone expects, certain kind of linens being used, certain kind of toiletries being used, and all of this was pretty much missing. So we had to carry our own linens as a safety, that in case it's not there, we'll take care of it, carry our own towels, etc. So we realized these are critical problems to solve if you want more and more guests to go and enjoy their stays at such beautiful holiday homes. And that's what we started solving, and we created this villa hospitality brand called StayVista, and we take care of the end-to-end experience for guests.
The initial days for any company are always challenging. How did you manage to overcome that?
So the most difficult part that we had to solve for were the operational challenges in each one of these locations. So think of all the key holiday destinations around your metro cities such as Mumbai, Bangalore and Delhi. Around Mumbai, people will typically go to Lonavala or Alibag. Around Delhi, people will go to Mussoorie or to Kasauli or Shimla. Around Bangalore, people might be going to Coorg. And what's typically difficult in these locations is that being remote, you will find it difficult to find staff over there. It'll be difficult to get even mobile connectivity over there, forget about Wi-Fi. So all of this was something we had to help set up at these homes to be able to deliver that hospitality experience that guests expect.
I understand you have about 500 villas across the country, Amit. How do you manage them? What are some of the unique services you offer? What could you tell us?
Our focus is on bringing hospitality to holiday homes. And to deliver hospitality at these homes, we've taken care of end-to-end experiences for our guests. The first being, when we select these homes, they have to be unique. There has to be something interesting about these spaces that a guest would want to go there and get inspired by. So we're very selective on the homes that we've chosen. Only 1 out of 10 homes get selected. So we work with 500 exclusive holiday homes across the country. These would be some of the finest homes that one could potentially visit and experience. Second is, in selection of these homes, there are multiple criteria they need to pass. For example, there are 200 different parameters we look at, whether it's the square footage of the property, whether it's the linens that are being used at the home, whether it's the space in the kitchen for a guest to come there and be able to prepare meals. There are multiple other parameters that we look at in selecting these homes. So that's really critical for us. On top of this, our focus is on providing that hospitality experience. So when it comes to food that our guests might be wanting at these homes, when it'll come to having enough towels that they want to use for their pool, whether it's for celebrations that they're coming for, they want decorations to be done, everything is taken care by us. So that's what I would say is our USP, bringing hospitality to holiday homes. We're not a platform but a hospitality brand.
What's the size of the market looking like, Amit? And some of the trends perhaps that you can run us through for the sake of our viewers?
So the last couple of years, it's been a really interesting journey seeing the market evolve with the impact of COVID and post-COVID. What we saw was people started preferring private exclusive places to spend time with their friends or family, and we needed to create an environment where they could spend all their time at these homes or at these properties. Earlier, people would come to these properties, not even worry about Wi-Fi, not even worry about food, and they used to take care of it themselves. They were coming there to disconnect. But through COVID, people were staying at these homes, they were working from these homes, they were studying from these homes, so they needed Wi-Fi, they needed a space to work from. They wanted to ensure that they can cook at any point or have a cook at their disposal. They needed even laundry facilities. So all of these were requirements that we saw that guests have that we needed to cater to. And if I speak about the trend going forward as well, I think people are looking for that private and exclusive personalized experiences in hospitality. And small has become luxury. So anything that can be delivered to you personally is what people are seeking. And that's the trend that we're trying to cater to.
Any future plans you can talk to us about, Amit? Also, any plans you can discuss with regards expanding internationally?
So today we're the largest Indian hospitality brand. We're in all the key holiday and getaway markets in India. We operate in over 25 cities. The focus is to go deeper in each of these locations in India. And once we've established our network further in India, we would be looking to go where Indian travelers go. So we want to be the home away from home for Indian travelers. So if you look at Indian traveler trends, they'll typically go to Dubai, they'll spend time in Thailand, they'll go to Bali, Sri Lanka. So these are the locations that we would be looking to expand in 24 and 25.
I just read out some figures at this point. 2022, I understand, saw 69 lakh foreign visitors and foreign tourists really visiting India, a fourfold increase in the number of arrivals. What sort of impact, positive of course, has this had on StayVista?
We are an Indian hospitality brand catering to Indian travelers. So for us, over 99% of our guests are Indian travelers who are going to getaways within 3 to 4 hours from metro cities, or going for holidays to your big holiday destination of India, such as Goa, Manali, Kashmir, Kerala, etc. So for us, we haven't been impacted by the number of foreign tourists coming into India. We've been very focused on catering to Indian travelers and giving them that experience of being with their loved ones and friends in the privacy that they're seeking.
Amit, my last question. We're in the 11th edition of Leaders of Tomorrow, and we're talking the big ideas for a new India. In the tourism space, what are the big ideas?
I think when you look at India as a country, right, with just how large the population is and how the income levels are improving and increasing across India, what we expect is people will travel more. Travel is something that people are considering not just as a way of as a luxury, but as a necessity, as a way to create work and life balance. And that will mean that even more and more Indians will be traveling across India, whether it's for short getaways, whether it's for holidays, whether it's exploring parts of India they've never seen before. For a lot of people, Northeast India is something that they haven't seen yet. So we expect a lot more exploration taking place in understanding your country and your place.
Amit, thank you so much for your time here on the show. Thank you. I'm going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're talking banking for rural India. That's a conversation with Jai Kisan coming up in just a moment. Do stay tuned. You're with us here on IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. Conversation with Jai Kisan talking about the banking needs for rural India. Listen in.
Welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, Arjun. It's a pleasure having you with us on the show.
Thank you so much, Rohan, and thank you for your team to come down here and grace us with your presence. Thank you.
So let me begin by asking you, what's the inspiration behind Jai Kisan and the premise, really behind establishing the company?
So for both Adriel and me, right, I'm from Bombay, went to college in the US, worked in a bunch of places across emerging markets. And then we were in this phase where we were thinking of what to do with regards to Indian financial services, right? Two things I think, made us kind of jump the boat, quit our jobs and hop across oceans and move back to India, which were primarily combo of today a Rashida, right, who's my maid, for example, can walk into a Xiaomi store anywhere in India and she can go buy a cell phone from a Xiaomi, Chroma or an Oppo store or a washing machine or a AquaGuard or a TV. And there are a multitude of lenders who are sitting there available to lend to her to be able to procure this particular item. Interestingly enough, Rashida, as you and I both know, will not be using this item as an income generating resource. Rather, it is a consumer durable for primarily a consumption purchase. I think Adriel and I both found it very weird that, hey, there is a Rashida in rural India who's a farmer who wants to go to a store to be able to buy seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, to be able to actually generate an income. But there's no lender who's ready to lend to her to be able to buy any of those products, right? So I think that is where we said that, hey, if we are being able to create such solid services for the urban poor, where you've seen a tripatriate impact, right? These lenders have become extremely large and profitable financial services companies, right? These are companies like the Bajaj Finances of the country, right? Number two, the Rashidas of urban India have gotten financially included, which means now they have a CIBIL score, which is basically a bureau score, right? They can access other financial services now, loans for their daughters to go to school, loans for their other kids to be able to get a two-wheeler and things like that. They're able to access savings accounts, insurance accounts, right? And number three is that these products are getting into the hands of the Rashidas. So I think that is where we say that, hey, if we can be one of those financial services providers or the only one in rural India to be able to create this kind of an impact where we are able to create a very large sustainable business for ourselves, be able to create an extremely financially including journey for all those rural Indians who've not been able to get included in the financial ecosystem overall. And number three, for those folks to be able to have access to products which they do not because of their ticket size or their pricing and things like that as well.
Perfect. You mentioned something about Adriel and you, leaving your jobs back in US and getting onto the entrepreneurial bandwagon. Now, there must be some challenges as young entrepreneurs that you must have faced.
Sure.
So could you please tell us what were those challenges and how did you go about it?
So I think one of the primary challenges that young, old, middle-aged entrepreneurs kind of face is that we are usually very far away from the problem, right? And what does that mean? That we are sitting in Bangalore, we are sitting in Bombay, we are sitting in Delhi, and we are building for Bharat, right? We are sitting in these cities and we are building for middle India, right? Now, how are you able to build for that target segment when you don't really understand what is it that they go through day in and day out? Yeah. So I think one of the challenges that we faced was initially that we were a little away from reality. And that is where Adriel and myself actually packed our bags up and we moved to a village 8 hours away from Bombay. And we lived outside a sugar mill where we took a little bit of a galla and we sold items to farmers. This was for about, I was there for about 8 months, Adriel was there for about 11 months, right? And in this process, what we learned was that the primary problem here is the need of credit for them to be able to buy the right kind of products with which they can generate the right kind of yield, right? And that is where obviously the idea kind of fructified and followed through, right? So I think this, I would say, is the primary problem which can be solved by being able to go to the ground.
Please tell us something more about Bharat Khata.
Sure.
Jai Kisan Bharat Khata.
So we'll take a step back and we'll just quickly walk you through a little bit of what are we solving for as well, right? See how with regards to rural India, it's a market of about $400 billion where 900 million people participate. Yeah, that's bigger than America, Europe and Latin America combined, all right? That's how big that market is in terms of number of people. Yeah, not in terms of value. But obviously it has the potential to be able to increase in value, which is something that's increasing anywhere between 10 and 15% on a year-on-year basis itself as well. Now, this market is extremely starved of financial services across the board, right? But the things that we are focusing on are two things. One is supply chain financing, right? Which basically means corporates who are operating in rural India are selling goods to their middlemen, which is their dealer network, distributor network, retailer network, right? And these dealers, distributors, retailers take a little bit of time to repay these folks back, right? Why is that? Because they have their own working capital cycles and they need to sell that particular product further to the customer as well and realize that cash flow from there, okay? Now, the requirement of this credit period days and no financial services institution participating limits the amount a corporate is ready to give to the dealer and the dealer is ready to give further, right? Thereby limits growth in some format, right? What we do here is we come in and we provide that period of financing, right, between the working capital period for that particular dealer, distributor or retailer, right? And we pay out the corporate, yeah? What that does it removes that kind of artificial ceiling that gets created in the market to be able to grow for both these participants, yeah? And more importantly than this, what we do is our buy now, pay later piece, right? Which is one of an only kind of offering, not only in India, but most emerging markets, right? Where a farmer today can walk into more than 35,000 retail outlets, which are empaneled with Bharat Khata, which is our app, right? Which these retailers use to digitize and record their transactions with the corporates that they work with. But at the same time, also use this app as a CRM solution to interact with their customers and also provide checkout financing to their customers, right? So just think of a journey where, you know, before when a farmer would walk into this Ramlal ki dukan, as we call it at Jai Kisan, right? Walk in and say, sir, aap mere ko ye 20,000 rupees ka maal de dijiye aur mere khate pe dal dijiye. Right? Most of us do that. We here do that even in urban India. But in rural India, these ticket sizes are much higher. Yeah. Today, when they walk in and they say that, hey, can I, मेरे को ये माल दे दीजिए, आप खाते पे डाल दीजिए, वो बोलता है मैं खाते पे नहीं डालूंगा, भारत खाते पे डालूंगा और देखते हैं कि ये लोग आपको अप्रूव करते हैं कि नहीं, right? Within 10 minutes, on the spot itself, we give an approval and the entire journey is in 9 different languages because of the various states that we are present in today, right? And by the end of the day, the retailer gets a credit into their bank account and the farmer within those 10 minutes itself walks out with that particular product, right? So these are the two things that we are solving for today, right? Which are financial services around supply chain financing and the other is buy now, pay later for the individuals, right? What we are looking at adding on is a suite of other financial services for those individuals, namely insurance and savings, so that not only do we help them be able to get financially included and buy the right kind of products at the right kind of timing because they have that financing, but also how do we help them kind of generate cash flow or returns on the amount of money that they've been able to save through savings products. But in a worst case situation, how are they able to also protect themselves against any sort of adverse economic conditions around them, right? Through insurance products as well. Yeah. So that is the overall journey that we are looking at building, and a very comprehensive financial services platform for rural businesses and rural individuals alike.
So Arjun, what's next on the horizon for Jai Kisan?
See, as we continue to grow and scale, the whole point is that, hey, how do we kind of scale out different kind of products for these customers, right? This again something that we kind of touched upon previously. But how do we kind of make a more comprehensive financial services offering to that particular individual customer or that Rashida who's walking into that Ramlal ki dukan, right? Today, for that Rashida walking into the Ramlal ki dukan, we are offering a finance to be able to buy products which are largely income generating in nature, right? We hope to be able to provide her financial products around offerings and products which are not income generating in nature as well, once we've been able to financially include her, right? In addition to that, we would like to, as we've spoken about, and that's something that's actually in our very, very near term roadmap of the next 2 quarters itself, is insurance, right? And lastly is the savings piece. Yeah.
Arjun, I would like to ask, Leaders of Tomorrow is in its 11th season right now. And the theme we have is, ideas for New India. We are celebrating, extolling even ideas for New India. So what are some of the big ideas, that you have basically that can ensure the country's or maybe the sector's exponential rise?
Whenever we talk about the Indian opportunity, right, we talk about how many young folks there are, right? And because there are so many young folks, we will generate a lot of value, and thereby, the GDP of the country will grow, and, everyone's standard of living will grow and things like this, right? So the same number of young individuals can be an extreme strength for a country like India, but at the same time, they can become an extreme weakness if they are not very well leveraged, right? And that is something that we are seeing in the past 5-6 years. There are lots of young folks today in India who are not keeping as busy, who don't have enough to do, right? Who don't have enough work to do. And that is where, I think we as entrepreneurs and as the overall ecosystem really need to be able to solve for that. How do we leverage, right, the youngster of this nation to be able to generate economic value, at the same time keep them busy, so that they don't end up creating any unnecessary problems as well.
Thank you so much, Arjun. It was a pleasure having you with us on the show.
Thank you, Rohan. I'm really looking forward to connecting again. Thank you.
All right, with that, it's a wrap on tonight's episode. If you have any feedback for us, our details on your screens as we speak. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.